Welcoming back to the podcast, Tricia Valasek with Raise the Bar, Hancock County. We're talking about workforce development today. Tricia, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Doug.
I think, is this your second or third time on the, I don't know.
I think third.
You're like a contributing editor to the podcast now. So
I want the
congratulations.
byline, as always.
Yes, you can add that to your resume, contributing editor to the Chamber Amplified podcast.
Perfect.
I know you're excited. So I wanted to, talk about how companies can really sharpen their tools when it comes to developing their workforce pipelines in 2026. But I think before we get into that, let's just talk about what 2025 was for workforce development in Hancock County. You and Ashley have been very busy with all sorts of different events and programs. It's been great to watch. What have been some of the highlights for the year?
Yeah, we've done a lot of events, especially when it comes to students in our K-12 school systems. And, we've done about 6 of our career expos for high school students, and 30 kids every single time get to come to different workplaces and interact with the employees and learn a little bit about what they do. We had our mock interview day where 500 high school juniors got to be interviewed with over 100 of our community's best representatives from the professional world. And then we had almost 700 of our 8th graders here in October get to interact with over 35 different employers to begin exploring careers. We've been busy with all of the students. We're expanding and trying to do a little bit more and getting our college students around the region to understand the great things we have happening here in Hancock County. And then we've just kind of been tightening up the Work Advance program that's been going on for the past 3 years.
Tell us a little bit more about the Work Advance program, because that's one I know you guys have been working on, but maybe not the one that gets all the publicity.
It's a program that has been done around the state of Ohio. Here, Raise the Bar, we are fortunate to be able to offer it to Hancock County residents. It is a 2-week training where they learn how to, really be skilled in the workplace for manufacturing jobs. At the end of it, they were able to sit for a certification exam, be a certified manufacturing associate, would have some interviews, and would be set up for some opportunities with potential manufacturers in our community. So over the last couple of years, we've had almost 200 participants, and we've graduated close to 80% of them. And then several of them have gone on to have great long-term jobs in our community.
That is awesome to hear. And just the numbers that you're putting out there, it's so much exposure to different elements of workplaces in and around Hancock County. Ashley had posted something on LinkedIn. I think it might have been today as we're recording this, just about how a lot of times kids have kind of decided what their career is going to be by the time they get into high school, which is one way to do it. But her point was that this early exposure is really important because they very well could make their decision. Yeah, I want to work there by the time they enter a high school, which is crazy to think about. But it also speaks to why it's so important to have all of these touch points from area employers with kids in our area school districts so early, so that you can help show them that there's a path here.
It is unreal. I think, from the generation that we are from, it was, you don't really have any of these conversations maybe ever. And maybe you get into college and then you have an academic advisor and they just basically tell you about classes and nothing about finding jobs. And what we're seeing as we go forward is there's this push to have kids have opportunity to learn about careers and start planning out their future well into the middle school age. We at Raise the Bar are redoing our entire website so that it becomes a much more interactive space, so that kids as young as middle schoolers can learn about how to go through the process of exploring careers all the way through high school and getting to know about careers and meeting with employers, being in workplaces, trying some things out, saying, not for me. But, these relationships that we rely on is with the employers. We need people who are willing to constantly interact with these kids. I think it's as much about who the kids know as who knows. And when you build these long-term relationships, it's a safe feeling for these students to go into the work, feel comfortable saying, okay, I'm going to go get my degree. or I'm going to go get this training and then I'm going to come work for you. And, kids want the opportunity. Out of a lot of our career days, we've had kiddos, lo and behold, they have a new internship or they've got a part-time job offer. So we need this mutual connection between both parties.
That is probably the best feeling, I would imagine, too, because a lot of times, look, you've got teenagers, I have teenagers, we've all dealt with teenagers. Sometimes you just don't know if you're making that impact or if you're reaching them. And so when you hear like, oh yeah, they went to this thing and they decided to do an internship there, or they took a part-time job there, that's just about the best feeling in the world.
It is. And I also love the light bulb moment where if you'll ask a student, do you want to do this forever? And they're like, no. And you're like, perfect, mark that down and don't spend your time and energy doing something that's not going to make you happy. And so we love the light bulbs of this is exactly what I've been thinking of and I just didn't know we had it here versus no, I can't do that forever.
Yeah, and that's an equally important discovery to make. The younger you are, that way you're not into a career with it before you realize, oh, I didn't want to be here.
Yeah, save money. There's so much opportunity to make decisions or at least feel guided in how you're making decisions today. And that's what I love about all that we're doing with the schools and giving, teachers are becoming much more informed about the companies that exist in Hancock County. We have students who are open to exploring and learning a little bit more. This generation is very wise and savvy, and they don't want to spend money on things that they don't think is going to have that return on their investment. And so if they can see the path and they see how to get there with the least resistance or with the least amount of their money, that's the path that they're going to take. And to have that laid out in front of them from a very young age is critical.
So as you mentioned, it's really important for area companies to have touch points with these kids when they're getting into middle school, while they're in high school. And there are a variety of ways that they can do that. Certainly they can work through Raise the Bar, and you're happy to connect them with all of the different programming that you're doing. But let's talk a little bit about YouScience as well, which is something that we've worked with you as well as the YouScience program itself to make it available to Hancock County employees. So they just have a real easy touch point where people can find them. Tell us a little bit about the YouScience program. Let's get people familiar with it if they haven't heard us. We've been trying to beat people over the head with it, but let's do it again one more time.
Let's do it. This is going to be that software that you wished you had that would say, this is how my brain is wired. And this is why I think and where my strengths really are. And so YouScience is brain games. Kids get into the system. They all have their own license. What's awesome is every single school district in Hancock County, city schools, our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders are using this platform now. They get in, they do the brain games. How much can I memorize? How fast am I with, recalling numbers? What's my vocabulary like? Can I envision like a punched hole? And if I flip it over, where's that punched hole going to be? We're all different. And that's what's awesome about having us be humans. And this just gives kids a way to explain why they operate, information where their strengths are, and then how that connects to jobs that would be a good fit for them. So YouScience is the aptitude, and then it's also your career interests. It's blending those results together, and it pops for individual, students here. This is the greatest fit careers for you. And I mean, there's hundreds of jobs in the system connected up with the U.S. Department of Labor. So there's quick access to the tasks, the skills, the education needed, how to look for colleges that might offer those degrees. Everything is right there at their fingertips. Not only are Hancock County kids using this, it's being used across the state of Ohio. We have to remember that our, talent pipeline is not just going to stay in our geographic boundaries. We are pulling kids from all over, and hopefully college students go to colleges nearby and stay too. So when these students get their results, they also have immediate access to the companies who have put their profiles in the system to say, hey, we're an employer that would offer a job in your career, result area. Unless the employer goes in and does their own free profile, kids won't find them. But not only do we have hundreds of kids using it in Hancock County, within the geographic region, I would imagine thousands, quite honestly, of students, and they can change the geographic range to, so even if someone in Columbus is using it, those kids would be able to see, as long as they have the boundary set up far enough, that our Hancock County employers would show up. So it's free and it's quick. Add your logo, add your address, add some contact information, website, URL, whatever, and just show up, just show up in the system, and then kids can go with it from there.
And also in there, you can put in, like, if you're interested in having someone come job shadow, or if you're offering internships, things like that. So you can kind of set the level of, how involved you want to be in it. But like you said, it's quick. I know when we first set it up as the chamber, I set up the Chamber of Commerce profile, and I think I was done in 5, maybe 10 minutes max. So for 10 minutes worth of investment, I think it's well worth the exposure you can possibly gain.
Yes. And not just local. I mean, kids from all over can see this information. Their teachers are going to start seeing the information because they're supposed to sit down and help the kids through their results. And, we're starting to see it being, pushed out at 4-H levels. I know that the county extension office uses it with 4-H youth. So it's not just in our schools, it's starting to be a platform used much more widely, and it works for adults. I took it. It was great because it really hit on the careers that I've been in and where I know my strengths are. It hit all of those again. So if anybody wants to just take it themselves and be like, what am I? Who am I? Go ahead and do it, because it's just, I think, $50, but your license stays good for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm. I know I went through it when we first got involved with the program. I forget what it tossed back out at me. There was a lot of process-oriented jobs because I like a good process and I like the rework process. It was really interesting to see that. But to that, the aptitude point of it, I think where we've maybe gone astray in the past was, it was like, well, what are you interested in? What do you like? Sometimes you get into something that you like and you find out that you don't like doing that as a job, or it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be. Interests change, aptitudes don't. You're kind of good at the things that you're good at. And that's why I think this is an impressive program, because that's what it's focused on. What are you good at? Like, what are you wired to do? Let's point you in a career direction that matches with that.
Your aptitude tends to stay the same. You can usually strengthen your strengths over time because it's just, again, how your brain is wired to think and process information. Your interests will always change as you go through different stages of life, as you interact with other people, as you have different careers, you learn things. So your interests always change. And we try to get people to do interest assessments annually. Mm-hmm. The aptitude, it will likely stay the same. Will you see growth in some areas? Of course. But when you're talking about it, it's this perfect intersection where if you imagine a Venn diagram, there's probably 4 or 5 different circles coming together. Your personality matters. Your aptitude matters. The interests matter. Your values matter. Your work style, your learning style, all of those actual pieces fit together. And then in the middle, there is a career journey, not just one job, but a career, a lifetime of opportunities that fit well. Passions have to go with interests, but sometimes you can't always, do everything like you're passionate about in your job, but you find other outlets to do it. Just being so self-aware of who you are goes a long way to finding the right place to work, so there's not turnover, or you don't feel like you can't grow in the workplace. Mm-hmm. There's so much benefits to it for the recruitment and retention of people in our talent pipeline.
So we will put the link for businesses to sign up for a YouScience profile in the show notes for this podcast. Make sure to do that if you're listening. But let's talk about the future for Raise the Bar in 2026 and getting businesses to continue to have those touch points with the community and let them know they're there, let them know what jobs are available, and kind of help develop the workforce moving forward. What are the things you're looking forward to as we approach the new year?
Always have career events. If you are a company that just wants some free interaction with students and are willing to have us come to your location, let us know. We're always planning those events. We have our mock interview day coming up in the first part of May, where we, again, will need over 100 different representatives, all businesses and industries, so we can pair our juniors up with them. A lot of our county schools are doing the amazing Shake, the Big Shake, as it's called in some different districts. If you're interested in helping kids practice their soft skills like communication, eye contact, handshake, talking about themselves, that's something that people can sign up for. And we're just really looking to help understand and how to communicate what a business does, or how you're willing to work with individuals. I know sometimes we can't always bring people into workplaces. There's HIPAA, there's insurance, there's liability, there's a lot of reasons, but we can still communicate messages. So we're always looking to learn more from different companies. I love to learn. That's probably one of my, aptitude things out there. But the more we know, the more we grow. I think that was like a wonderful NBC little commercial thing there. But it's true. And so if we all can just be in this stage of sharing information and being willing to learn and grow from each other, 2026 is going to be amazing. And we're also looking to just make sure that, once again, college students, what a great recruiter for our employers than having amazing higher ed institutions like we have throughout Northwest Ohio. We want to expand those relationships. If an employer too, you've got the talent pipeline coming from K-12, don't forget your college kiddos. Handshake is the platform that all of the career offices are using to kind of connect kids with internships. So if you want to join YouScience at the same time, go in and try to create your profile on Handshake. And then lastly, it's just continuing to put the word out there that TechCred is still being done by the state of Ohio. How many more rounds they will offer, I think that will be, it'll go on for quite some time now, but we had an outstanding showing in the last round from Hancock County employers. You don't have to be a certain size, you just have to have employees. So making sure that you could be a company of two. We applied, we got some money for it. Take advantage of that to get your talent pipeline going and trained in a new way, because I know technology is just changing pace so fast, and AI is everywhere. And if you feel like you as a company need to get people upskilled a little bit more, then I would take advantage of TechCred every round.
And I know that there are AI trainings in that TechCred, so definitely worth looking at that. I think we've had you on before to talk about the TechCred program. I'll link back to that episode in the show notes as well, and we'll get the link from for Handshake for you as well. So employers, this episode is a one-stop shop for all the information you need to develop your talent pipeline in 2026. So you're welcome, Findlay and Hancock County.
Right.
Tricia, we really appreciate all the work that you and Ashley are doing with Raise the Bar. If people want to learn more about everything that you're up to, maybe they want to get involved in some way, shape, or form, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can always check out our website, raisethebarhancock.org, or just shoot us an email. I'll give the easiest one so you don't have to remember how to spell my last name. It's raisethebarhancock@gmail.com. Super simple.
There you go. Everybody mispronounces your last name anyway. To be fair, it is mispronounceable.
Very much so. It's not my lineage. It's
it's Eric's fault. We'll blame Eric. Tricia, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Yes, thanks, Doug.